welcome to The Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into the past, but not just for history's sake. We're looking for, well, actionable wisdom.
Exactly. We've gathered this amazing collection, quotes, anecdotes, observations from all sorts of people, thinkers, leaders.
And they all seem to point towards these, let's say, timeless principles for, succeeding and actually building a meaningful life.
And we know you're listening because you want those key insights, those aha moments, without getting bogged down in tons of reading.
Right. So our mission, if you will, is to distill all this historical perspective. We want to pull out insights, maybe some surprising connections that you can actually use today.
Think of it less like a lecture, more like mining for gold. Let's jump in.
Okay, so one of the first things that really hits you is this constant theme about seizing opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Austin Phelps put it quite forcefully. He talked about opportunity, force, and persistence in crowding opportunity to its utmost.
Yeah.
Basically saying you need almost martial virtues to grab success.
It's so active, isn't it? It's not about waiting around.
No, not at all.
You think of Napoleon crossing the Alps. People said impossible. But he made the opportunity happen. Like that old saying, find a way or make one.
That's the spirit. And W.H. Burleigh adds this layer about time. Each day has unique chances that won't come again. They're fleeting.
Which makes Goethe's point even more urgent. Are you in earnest? Seize this very minute. Just start. Don't overthink it. Just begin.
That immediacy. It often makes all the difference.
It's like, you see bees, right? They go to every single flower, even the tiny ones.
Yeah, collecting nectar bit by bit.
Exactly. Those small opportunities, maybe they seem insignificant alone, but consistently taking them, that adds up.
It really does. And there was that cardinal saying, fortune, she might visit everyone, but she only stays with those who are actually prepared to receive her. You have to be ready.
Preparation meets opportunity. So recognizing it is one thing, but you need to be ready to act. Like Cornelius Vanderbilt with the steamboats.
Right, it was new tech, but he saw the potential, the way it could change everything in transportation.
Or Philip Armour during the Civil War, understanding the pork market shifts. That wasn't luck. It was foresight.
And Rockefeller with petroleum.
Yeah.
People needed better light, and he saw how oil could fill that need. These guys weren't just fortunate. They were prepared, observant, and they acted.
It makes you wonder, what are we seeing today that holds that kind of potential,
That's the question, isn't it? Okay, let's shift gears a bit. There's this really interesting idea that kept coming up, sometimes called the man wanted.
Yeah, like in that poem, it's striking because it's not asking for like a specific resume or tons of money.
No, it's deeper. It's about character, inner strength, having the courage of your convictions.
People who aren't just swayed by, whatever's popular. They have their own internal compass.
Exactly. And it also talks about being well-rounded, not letting one talent or skill completely overshadow everything else about you, developing the whole person.
That feels really relevant now with everyone specializing so much. This call for balance.
And this phrase, being larger than his calling.
What does that really mean, do you think?
Well, I think it means valuing your own growth, your contribution beyond just your job description, focusing on becoming a person of, integrity and capability first.
So if you build that foundation, that strong character.
That you're kind of prepared for anything,
Yes.
right? You can adapt, thrive in different roles, different situations. It's less about the job title, more about who you are.
So a good education, in this view, isn't just job training.
No, it's about developing yourself as a capable human being, which then equips you for whatever life brings. It's foundational. How often do we forget that broader development?
Good point. Okay, another theme that just comes up again and again, almost hammered home, is determination. Sheer persistence.
Oh, the stories are incredible. Just countless examples of people facing unbelievable odds and just refusing to quit.
Think about those folks with hardly any schooling, working tough jobs, but still dedicating every spare moment to learning.
Or Garrett Smith, fighting tooth and nail to get that newspaper, the Philadelphia Ledger.
Yeah.
Humphrey Davy doing groundbreaking science with the most basic equipment imaginable.
It wasn't about having everything handed to them.
Not at all. It was about resourcefulness, grit, making the absolute most of what little they had. What can we learn from that today when we feel limited?
And in politics, you see it too. Cobden and Bright fighting the Corn Laws for years.
Years. Or Michael Faraday, rising from basically nothing to the top of the scientific world. Disraeli becoming prime minister against all that social prejudice.
These weren't overnight things. They were long, hard slogs.
Absolutely. Khaleesi, The Potter years of obsessive experimenting.
Yeah.
Galileo pushing science forward despite intense opposition.
Even Vanderbilt, right. He lost his first boat, could have packed it in.
But he didn't. And Andrew Johnson, teaching himself to read and write while poor. It shows setbacks aren't the end, just bumps in the road.
I like that analogy. They use hammering iron. You have to keep hitting it, shaping it. Your place isn't just given to you, you forge it.
Yeah, and Longfellow puts it perfectly. Perseverance is a great element of success. Knock long enough and loud enough, and someone's bound to notice.
You see that relentless purpose in Franklin building his business, Carlyle struggling with his manuscript.
The Alamo Defenders, Grant's cool persistency during the war.
Harriet Beecher Stowe's advice is great too. Never give up then, for that's just the place and time that the tide turn.
Right when you feel like quitting. And Charles Sumner just boils it down to backbone, that inner steel. Do we tap into that when things get tough?
Definitely something to think about. Okay, moving on. Time. Specifically, those little pockets of spare time. Franklin was huge on this, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Dost thou love life? Then do not squander time. He saw time as the very stuff life is made of. Powerful stuff.
It is. And that ancient poet saying, eternity itself cannot restore the loss struck from the minute, or Shakespeare, I wasted time, and now doth time waste me, hits hard.
These weren't just philosophical ideas for them. They felt the weight of every minute.
Franklin lived it too, choosing work over just, hanging out. He saw the compound interest of using time well.
Makes you look at your own evenings, doesn't it? Your commute.
Totally. And the list of people who achieved amazing things by using those spare moments is just staggering. Elihu Burritt, the blacksmith turned linguist.
Milton, writing his epics. John Stuart Mill, Galileo, Gladstone.
Sir John Lubbock, Southey, Hawthorne. It goes on and on.
And these weren't people with tons of leisure time. They were masters of using the fragments, the edges of the day that most of us probably waste.
What could we do with those moments if we were more intentional?
Exactly. It forces you to look at evenings, weekends differently. The sources suggest how you use that downtime says a lot about your real ambitions, your character. Are you just consuming or are you building something?
Those spare moments aren't spare at all, are they? They're potential.
Potential building blocks, huge potential.
All right, let's touch on something that might feel a bit dated. Appearance and manners. But it comes up quite a bit.
It does. Livy said attire should be comely but not costly. Shakespeare's apparel oft proclaims the man.
Anthony Trollope had that interesting take. The best-dressed person is someone whose clothes you don't even notice. It's about being appropriate, not flashy.
Right. And H.W. Shaw even connected neatness on the outside with a kind of inner order, maybe even morality. Presenting yourself respectfully.
And it's not just how others see you. They suggest dressing well can actually boost your own self-respect, your confidence.
Feeling put together helps you feel more capable, perhaps?
Maybe. And beyond clothes, it's about how you interact, good conversation, carrying yourself well. Charm, manners, people like Madame de Maintenon, Rufus Choate, it clearly helped them.
Simple courtesy is called a fortune in itself, a valuable asset.
And it's interesting what they say a true gentleman isn't. Not envious, not malicious.
They even contrast someone brilliant but rough, like Dr. Johnson, with the ideal, ultimately pointing to the golden rule, treat others well.
It comes back to character again, doesn't it? How you present yourself, how you treat people, it's all connected.
It really is. It's the whole package.
Now, what about internal roadblocks? Things like self-consciousness, timidity. The writings address this too.
Yeah, they observed that people struggling with this are often stuck inside their own heads, constantly analyzing themselves, worrying.
And the advice seems to be, get out of your head.
Pretty much. Shift your focus outwards. Think about other people, the task, anything but yourself. They call it morbid sensitiveness sometimes, and say it needs heroic treatment. Meaning actively pushing yourself. Mingle with people, join activities, do things that force you out of that inward spiral, build confidence through action.
Makes sense. Action as the antidote to anxiety.
Exactly. Immerse yourself in the world, and that self-focus starts to fade.
Okay, what about just practical smarts? Good judgment. Our sources say it's crucial, and not everyone has it, even brilliant people.
Right. They give examples like Dean Swift, one of Napoleon's marshals. Even Daniel Webster apparently struggled with practical things, especially money.
So being book smart isn't enough. You need that grounded common sense, too.
Definitely. And interestingly, they suggest a country upbringing might help foster that.
How so?
Maybe having to solve practical problems directly, deal with the physical world, builds that kind of self-reliance and sound judgment naturally.
Could be. Dealing with real-world consequences.
Yeah, it cultivates a certain resourcefulness.
So we can't really talk success without talking about failure, or at least adversity and obstacles.
Mhm.
Emerson's quote is great. Nature, when she adds difficulties, adds brains.
I love that. Challenges force you to level up, basically, to become more innovative. Failure isn't just an endpoint. It can actually spark new energy.
Burke called adversity a severe instructor. Shapes character, reveals hidden strengths.
It's in those tough times you often find out what you're really made of.
And look at the examples. Beethoven composing while deaf,
Schiller creating through physical suffering, Milton writing Paradise Lost after going blind.
Bunyan writing Pilgrim's Progress in prison. It's astonishing. These weren't just minor hurdles. They were immense hardships. What does that say about our own limitations? Are there really limitations?
Right, and think about a crisis situation. When someone decisive, someone with good judgment steps in, it changes everything. It brings focus, energy.
But the flip side is also true, isn't it? The danger of not being decisive. Indecision, procrastination.
Oh, huge warning signs in these texts. The undecided person's energy is scattered. They achieve little. It becomes a habit.
They even joked about tombstone inscriptions. He dawdled, behind time. Ouch.
Yeah, the message is blunt. Decide. Act. Hawk age. Do this thing. Now. Essential for progress.
Okay, what about learning? Not just formal education, but continuous learning from the world.
Crucial. Beecher made it a point to systematically study things, to understand the world. Observation is key.
Like that artist, Solario. He saw another painter, got inspired, and it opened doors for him.
Or Louis Philippe, a king, valuing practical skills. That self-made president whose coat of arms was just rolled up sleeves. It dignifies learning through doing.
It's that self-help idea again, driving your own growth.
And Elihu Burritt, the blacksmith, teaching himself all those languages in his spare moments.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It shows what's possible if you consistently use those little bits of time.
It's about staying curious, right? Engaged, always learning.
A mindset of perpetual growth, seeking knowledge everywhere.
Which leads nicely into taking pains, attention to detail. That idea that genius is maybe just an infinite capacity for taking pains.
It comes up a lot. Think of Plato rewriting things over and over. Burke, Butler, Virgil, Hayden composing, Murray the dictionary guy. Just meticulous effort.
Those finishing touches matter. Craftsmen like Tampion, chickering their obsession with quality to find them.
Because doing work conscientiously, it's not just about the product. It reflects on you, your character.
And that dedication, that thoroughness, it's linked to getting ahead.
It builds trust, a reputation for excellence. Invaluable.
So the opposite of that would be settling for mediocrity, which the texts strongly warn against.
Yes, don't be satisfied with cheap, shoddy, good enough. Truly successful people have high standards for everything.
First class over second class, they say. Like Elihu Root wanting to master everything he studied, Channing needing comprehensive understanding.
That commitment to excellence, to really knowing your stuff, they even point to German thoroughness as a reason for national success.
And on a personal level, doing bad work just reflects badly on you, diminishes you.
Exactly. It chips away at your integrity, your potential.
Okay, shifting slightly again. Self-reliance. Using your own stuff, your own abilities. Emerson's quote about the world being like iron in the hands of workers.
Yeah, it means you have the power to shape things. Success isn't about waiting for handouts. It's about making the most of what you inherently possess.
Seeing the potential within yourself, like an artisan sees a statue in a block of stone.
Beautifully put. Recognizing and developing those inner possibilities, not waiting for perfect circumstances, but actively creating.
It's about tapping into your own power.
Your inner resources, your resilience.
And how do you express that? Communication comes up too, thinking and speaking effectively.
Speaking off the cuff, extemporaneously, is seen as a real test.
Harder than writing, where you can revise?
Definitely. But articulating thoughts clearly, persuasively in the moment, that builds serious confidence. They mentioned debating clubs for honing that skill.
And sincerity is key, right? You can't fake connecting with an audience.
People see right through it. And big moments can reveal hidden speaking talents, like Webster's reply to Hayne.
So it's clarity, conviction, authenticity, whether writing or speaking.
Absolutely, getting your ideas across effectively.
And underpinning all this, diligence, faithfulness to duty. Longfellow's do well whatever you do. Solomon's proverb about the diligent standing before kings.
It's fundamental. And the encouraging part is, what man has done, man may do. If others could do it, so can you.
Like Daniel Webster, struggling early in school but pushing through with sheer effort.
Exactly. Fidelity to duty, showing up, yes, but bringing your best effort consistently, that's a hallmark.
But amidst all this striving, we shouldn't miss the beauty in the ordinary.
Good point. Finding sublimity in the commonplace. Not just chasing grand achievements, but appreciating daily life, finding joy there. Like Grace Darling, the lighthouse keeper's daughter, her heroism emerged from an ordinary life.
So greatness isn't always dramatic. It can be quiet, consistent dedication.
And recognizing the wonder that's already around you.
Now, what about external influences? Environment, the people you hang out with?
Hugely important, according to these sources. Surround yourself with positive, ambitious people. Ambition is contagious, they say.
Like Elias Howe hearing that comment about a sewing machine, it sparked the idea.
Or George Stephenson, Robert Fulton, pushing forward with their inventions despite everyone doubting them. They had that inner drive, maybe fueled by their own belief and potentially supportive circles. Bismarck's relentless focus, too.
Which requires courage, resolution, another massive theme.
Absolutely. Dante enduring exile. Regulus keeping his word, even though it meant death. Incredible examples of sticking to principles.
And Kramer's story is a warning. Initial courage isn't enough if it falters later.
Right. Then you have acts of bravery, like the boy saving his sister at Niagara, Andrew Jackson facing down that ruffian. Courage in action.
Grant quietly refusing wine, a different kind of courage, moral courage.
Yes. And the tragedy they mention of timid souls who never even try. Contracted with Thomas More's loyalty, Lincoln's leadership in crisis, Elizabeth Blackwell breaking barriers as a female doctor. Just sheer determination.
So it seems the idea is you don't just passively accept circumstances.
No, you conquer them by being stronger inside. Milton said circumstances rarely favor famous men. You have to become a greater circumstance yourself.
Like Lincoln, Weed, Locke, Hayne, Drew, all rose above really tough beginnings.
Through inner resolve, that's the engine.
But what if the obstacle is internal, like self-doubt?
A big one. They tell that story of the discouraged student who became a leader. Shows how damaging self-criticism or listening to others' ridicule can be.
That self-made president, again, believing in effort over inherited advantage, it counters that doubt.
Absolutely. They stress that self-faith is essential. You literally cannot achieve more than you believe you can. Doubt and fear paralyze you.
So how do you fight that? Positive affirmations, mental discipline.
That's the prescription. Spoken resolutions have more power. You need to haul yourself over the coals, hold yourself accountable, actively erase negative thoughts.
Consciously form the habit of thinking positively, affirming health, success.
Yes, cultivate that resilient, optimistic mindset deliberately.
And beneath all of that, character, integrity, the absolute bedrock.
Couldn't be clearer. People without a strong moral core are unreliable. Make character your capital. Honesty is irreplaceable.
And the consequences of messing up early bad habits, they linger.
Forming good habits takes conscious effort. Bad ones, like smoking mentioned in some texts, sneak up on you. There's a deep link between purity of thought and life and overall well-being. Grant's moral compass is held up as an example.
So what's the goal of all this? Is it just success? Or happiness?
True happiness, they argue. And it's an inside job, not about possessions.
That idea of sacrificing everything now for money, hoping it buys happiness later, they call that a delusion.
A dangerous one. Instead, cultivate your appreciation for beauty, your emotional side, find joy in simple things, learning, avoid selfishness, idleness. That's where real contentment lies.
And pursuing noble aims brings its own satisfaction.
Deep satisfaction, which connects it back to education, continuous learning. Addison's uneducated soul as marble in the quarry.
Full of potential, but unrealized. Arnold's use your gifts faithfully and they shall be enlarged.
Even with talent, being uneducated is a huge disadvantage. But learning opportunities are everywhere, even small ones. Learn to really observe, engage. Self-education is powerful.
Tailor it to your needs. And then there's the power of suggestion. Positive influence.
Huge impact. Helping healing. A caregiver's positive attitude making a difference.
Inspiring words, positive content, it can transform. But negative criticism, letting others define you,
can be incredibly damaging. The human voice has power. Maintaining that high ideal of health and harmony in your mind is key.
Which means conquering fear, right? Cultivating a prosperous mindset.
Fear is pervasive, debilitating. Forgive grudges, think positively. You tend to attract what you expect, they say. Prosperity starts in the mind. Positive attitude first.
Yeah, we've covered a lot. From opportunity to mindset.
It's all interconnected, isn't it? Seizing chances, determination, character, learning, positivity. It's not one thing.
It's a whole way of being, it seems. So, as we wrap up, maybe the challenge for you listening is to reflect. Which of these principles really hits home for you right now?
Yeah. Where are your biggest opportunities for growth based on this wisdom?
Yeah.
And what's one small actionable step you could take starting today to integrate that principle more deeply into your life?
It's not about a massive overhaul overnight. It's those consistent steps.
Mhm.
So think about it. What one principle, if you really focused on it, could create the most significant positive shift for you right now?